Welcome everybody to the House of Wellness, the home of good health for you. Today, the healing powers of Australian bush medicine.
Smells amazing.
For those yes people, how to say no and keep your friends.
And there's a new superfood on the block, and its health benefits are incredible.
Proteins, good fats, a good source of minerals and a good source of fibre all in one.
Stay with us for a show packed to the brim with life, nutrition and great advice.
I love it. Let's all get well, stay well, live well and look fabulous.
Right here in the House of Wellness. Hello there, welcome everybody. Sit tight for the next hour. We will have you feeling fabulous in no time. Hello to you too.
Yes, hello Ed. Hello everyone. Now I've got one for you, Ed.
Okay.
When you're asked by a friend to do something that you don't actually want to do, are you a yes man or can you just say no?
Yes, and maybe no.
Yeah, that's what I thought. For those people pleasers who find it hard to say no for fear of offending, we've got some good news for you later in the show.
Yes, but first, pharmacist and all-round nice guy, probably a yes man. Gerald Quigley is here. What's on your agenda today?
Ed, if you feel that your nervous system's been running on overtime, on the A to Z of vitamins, I've got some good news.
Great, nice to give the electric circuits a bit of a boost. Now, it seems every day brings exciting news about medical advances in the future. Does that mean we should ignore the past?
Ancient healing has been around for thousands and thousands of years, including the Indigenous culture here in Australia, so there must be something in it. Joe Stanley's been investigating the healing powers of the past and joins us now.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here because I love this story. Now, obviously, modern medicine is really important. It does save lives. But how lucky are we that we are now able to go back and rediscover those age-old healing remedies that can bring you the balance that you need.
Australia, hidden away from the rest of the world for millions of years, this raw, ancient land remains to this day the most isolated and remote continent on Earth. But the Aboriginal people have lived and thrived on this country for thousands and thousands of years. And if they got sick or wounded, this was their chemist. This was their hospital. If medical research today is a method of trial and error, just imagine how much medicinal knowledge Australian Aborigines packed into the 60,000 years of healing they performed before Europeans showed up. And thousands of years later, modern society's only just beginning to tune into the benefits of these natural remedies. So I was curious to learn a little more about how bush medicines worked. And here, 5 hours north of Adelaide on the aptly named Outback Highway, I think I'm going to get my first insight. Debbie has just said to me, stop, because she needs something. She's seen something in the shrubbery here that I can't see, but she needs it. So I stopped, because I always do what I'm told. Where are we going? I'm travelling with Debbie Watson and Francesca Panzeroni, who have established the first mainstream Aboriginal healing clinic in Australia. And this hardy little thatch of native shrub is what we've trekked out to find.
Manka is a medicinal plant which has been used for thousands of years by the Pitjantjatjara and Yankunytjatjara people.
Debbie is an elder from the APY lands of Central Australia and a highly respected Ngangkari, which means traditional healer. And according to her, the Amunka is still seen by many older Aboriginal people as their go-to remedy for cold and flus because of its pungent aroma.
It's like a little bit of eucalyptus. Yes.
Stress? A relaxer, like a relaxant.
When it comes to bush medicines, our Australian flora is particularly rich in aromatic plants. For instance, eucalyptus was used to treat bruises and fevers and chills. Tea tree is a potent antiseptic and antifungal, and while not an aromatic, billy goat plums, native to the Northern Territory and Western Australia, are in fact the world's richest source of vitamin C. Back in Adelaide and here at Australia's very first native therapy clinic, Debbie is prepping the amunka, infusing it into hot oil and beeswax, producing an all-natural, old-school bush rub. I know what it
is to feel imbalanced somehow, to just feel like you're not quite aligned. Anxiety, stress, insomnia, always tired. So to think that there's something, a treatment that can realign me and lift that heaviness that comes from all of those life ailments, that sounds amazing.
The knowledge these Ngangkari healers use every day in their traditional therapy sessions has been passed down from many generations and is becoming a popular choice for those in the know. I've checked in for a 1-hour healing session with Debbie, and she's giving me the works.
Smells amazing.
Ngangkari healers believe we have a life force or spirit that runs through our bodies, and their healing focuses on aligning that spirit to its harmonic and peaceful centre.
Thank you.
No worries. Your spirit's all right.
My spirit's okay?
Yeah,
That's good to know.
Oh.
Because Indigenous Australians have always seen well-being as a matter of physical and spiritual health, native medicine has always been a mix of ritual and remedy. But it was only a matter of time before the purity of our bush medicinals were produced in large quantities and made available to all of us at home. Australian corkwood, for instance, supplies almost half the world with a remedy used for motion sickness and was even relieving shell shock during World War II. Kangaroo apples are used in asthma and arthritis medicinals. And when it comes to battling the common cold, Aussie companies like Oil Garden are taking on big-name synthetic cold and flu treatments by creating a pure and effective chest rub made from eucalyptus, coconut oil and myrtle.
What's being made here is just as natural as what we saw in the outback.
The Oil Garden Breathe Easy Chest Rub is a natural and pure alternative to chemical chest rubs that are on the market. So there's no petroleum, there's no sulfate, there's no parabens. It is 100% pure and natural.
Synthetic treatments are often petroleum-based, which can irritate and even increase mucus production in some patients. They can also contain camphor, which, if swallowed, is toxic.
More and more parents now are really conscious of what they're putting on their children, both on the products that they're using, what they're eating, how you're even cleaning your home. So to use a product that you can pick up, turn over, read the ingredients, really clearly understand what they all are. You can use it really confidently on your children. It's safe, it's gentle, but it's also super effective.
As a parent, I'm so happy that now we're living at a time when we have natural alternatives that are beautiful, they smell amazing, they work, they create a whole different nurturing experience for our children, and they're distinctly Australian.
Interesting, isn't it?
Good stuff, yeah.
So those products from the Oil Garden are now, we've got products for our homes called the Oil Garden.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, this Breathe Easier chest rub. I mean, we know that green parenting is a huge movement now. As parents, we want to know what we're putting on our children. We want to know what the ingredients are, and we want to know that they're safe, and this is safe for the whole family.
Little bubbers too.
Isn't that good? What about your treatment with that Ngangkari leader that we saw, the healer?
It was really incredible. I would describe it as similar to Reiki. So there was a real sort of warmth and energy through her hands, and I don't know, there was sort of like a lightness to me afterwards. It was really beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, we've got things in our own backyard, right? Like tea tree oil, aloe vera. We're going back, and GQ, I'm going to bring you into this, natural remedies. They're
The
still
remedies,
helpful.
they've been around for a long time, Zoe, and I get really puzzled as to why we haven't looked at the Indigenous culture for more remedies. There are books around. This is one that I brought in from home. So this is Bush Medicine by Tim Lowe, a pharmacopoeia of natural remedies based on Indigenous medicines. Why aren't we researching these things more? Why
You're a
aren't we?
medical herbalist as well. What do you source your herbs from? Not
Well,
from Australia?
No, most of them are European herbs and are grown in Europe and sometimes in the United States, although we are starting to grow some, but not from the Indigenous background, though.
Now, Joe, is it just this clinic that you can have treatments or elsewhere?
Well, Antac actually do travel the country offering Ngangkari services. They go to communities and hospitals. So do keep an ear and an eye out for that, because it's not just for Aboriginal communities, it's for all of Australia, and it's an amazing service.
Great job, great story. Thanks so much for that. And for all your links to greater health, better health, head to our website. For any of your questions you need answered as well, houseofwellness.com.au is our page.
And give us a bell, 1800 4 0469 788. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Get your questions to Gerald that way and be our friend, a Facebook friend, of course, at your fingertips. The House of Wellness is out.
And so much more information coming up. We look into why being selfish can save your relationship.
Save it.
And we learn how being continuously switched on with no off button can lead to adrenal fatigue. Later, why you need to stop being a people pleaser and learn to say no.
Yes, good idea, Zoe. But up next on House Heroes, we meet a young Aussie battler who received a medal from a TV icon.
She has had more operations than 100 people, and you'd never know.
Stay with us here on the House of Wellness. Welcome back. Well, our house hero today is a young Aussie battler who, through the help of children's charity, the Humpty Dumpty Foundation, has kept the sparkle in her eyes.
Yes, recently honoured with a medal by TV great Ray Martin, Lauren is now the first junior ambassador for the foundation. She may not be big in stature, but it is the size of her heart that makes her today's hero.
I've had a lot to do with children in hospitals through Humpty Dumpty. She's exceptional. She has had more operations than 100 people, and you'd never know. But she's been to hell and back. She's more likely to ask you how you're feeling or are you okay?
I'm Lauren and I'm 10 years old. I've had 10 surgeries in the last admission. That was 4 months. But overall, it was 130. See Ray, I call him Uncle Ray.
Humpty Dumpty's been going for 28 years. We've never had a junior ambassador before, and we thought the least we could do, given the fact that she's a face out there for children, make her a junior ambassador. And I think she's more over the moon than even we were.
Oh, Humpty Dumpty have been a part of our journey since Lauren was first born. And she needed life-saving surgery when she was 3 days old. A week or so later, when I finally got to hold her for the very first time, and she was still ventilated, and she was still attached to most of that equipment. And as they're passing her to me, I spotted a sticker of Humpty Dumpty on the side of one of the pieces of equipment. And that's when it was explained to me what Humpty Dumpty is all about, and that piece of equipment was donated by total strangers to us so that our little girl could stay alive.
I got this medal when I came ambassador. I was like smiling so much my mouth hurt. I involved helping raise money for orphan kids in hospital, and I bought a piece of equipment when I went up to Darwin because I heard a story of a girl who died because she didn't have the right equipment.
She does raise money and raise interest and awareness for other children. You'd think that, you'd become self-centered if you'd had 130 operations and start to concentrate on yourself with reason, but she doesn't. She's always talking about raising money to make life better for other children, and she means it.
Because I want all the kids to be happy.
So for 10 years, that child doesn't know any other life than being in and out of hospital. And some of those surgeries have been horrifically big and incredibly challenging for her to get through. She is the most inspiring little girl.
I like to raise money. Every kid should get to go home after hospital.
Oh, gosh, what a little champion Lauren is. She's coped with more than 100 operations, as we saw there. Humpty Dumpty, by the way, has raised millions of dollars for medical equipment to over 370 hospitals and health services across the country.
And if you want to donate to the Humpty Dumpty Foundation to help them to continue saving lives, just head to our website,
which is houseofwellness.com.au.
Now, we live in a culture that prefers harmony over discord.
Yes, we do.
Yes, thank you, Ed. And when someone asks us to do something that we really don't want to do, for some reason, the response we always give is yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Now, we worry about our peers. We don't want to embarrass ourselves or cause conflict. So is there a way to say no the right way?
Yes. Well, yes, I hope so.
Oh, my goodness, Ed. Joining us today to help us learn how to say no is social scientist Ali Walker. Welcome,
Thank you.
Ali.
It's great
Is
to
it
be
good
here.
to be here?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Only yes.
I remember reading, I think it's actually a bit of a jolt to the system, even viscerally, to say a no to someone. It makes the heart rate increase.
Yeah, it's much nicer to give someone a positive response. We all know that. But there's a few different types of no. We're actually really good at saying no. If you think about the easy no, I call it the easy no, the no thanks with a smile. So do you want another coffee or do you need a lift? We're really good at saying no in those circumstances. So we've got to think about the hard no or what I call the power no. They're two different types of no.
Power no sounds fun.
So the hard no is when you feel like you might offend someone by saying no, but you don't really have an inner conflict about saying no. So it's the friend saying, do you want to come out for dinner, and you're exhausted. So you don't have an inner conflict. You know the answer's no, but it's a hard no because you don't want to offend somebody.
Yeah.
The power no is what I call, is when somebody has potentially power over you in the dynamic. So your boss or someone that you might like or have a crush on, and you just don't know what the right context is to say no to that person. So that's a power no. There's a bit of an inner conflict and there's a power dynamic going on.
How do we do those no's? I've got to know.
Yeah. So the first step is to practice saying no, and not in the mirror, no.
Ask that, yeah.
But it's a plan. So if research shows that if you have a plan for saying no, that you know that you're going, how far you're going to go in a particular situation, then you're more likely to go through with that plan.
Right. How do we say no nicely?
Yeah, so the way I do it is to always thank the person for asking you. That's how you start off, and that's where you soften the no. So you start off with a positive. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for asking me. And that way you're not starting off with that hard, uncomfortable feeling, because it can be uncomfortable to give someone a negative response straight off the bat.
It's a sneak up on you, no.
Yeah.
Well, what else can we say? Because sometimes I do like it. Can we white lie, or is that not good?
Well, I think that sets you up for some challenges later on.
Yeah, okay, don't take my advice. What do you do? How do we do the...
So it's all about being kind but assertive. So according to the harshness bias in social psychology, we always think that we come off more harshly than we actually do.
Interesting.
Which is
That's why the
great.
white lies come out.
Yes.
Which is great. That is why. So we tend to give a white lie instead of actually just standing in our truth and saying, I'm so sorry, thank you for thinking of me. And also we give them an alternative. So thanks for thinking of me. I'd love to do this next year. Or please ask me again next week. So that's another way of softening. But right now, I'm just too exhausted. Or right now, I need to prioritise my family.
Let's practice this. Could I have the rest of your sandwich? Thank you for thinking of me and my sandwich.
I just was saying no. With me and food, no.
So that's an easy no.
That's an easy no.
You're so clever with your work as a PhD in social scientist. Could you write a report for me next week about something else?
Thank you so much for thinking of me, Ed, but right now I just don't have the time.
That was a white lie because you didn't want him to think about you, wasn't it?
It's nice, but it sets you up for the negative, which is a bit of a harsh thing to do.
Yeah, but next year...
Or the year after.
Midway through the year, at least let's talk August. Some great tips there. So you say practice saying no. I mean, you've really got to think ahead in the situation where there could be a potential no.
Yeah, have a plan. So just to have a plan around your boundaries. That's a difficult one if you don't see the question coming, obviously. But if you think to yourself, I really need some rest tonight, then that's part of the plan that you can have.
All right, I love this. Thank the person for asking for you, and if appropriate, ask them to do it again next time. Great tip as well. And be kind but assertive.
So it may be appropriate to give a reason if you feel comfortable doing that. Sometimes we can overshare without reason.
Yes. And then you go down the rabbit hole and you're still going.
And that's overcompensating, again, because we're worried about not pleasing people. So sometimes it's appropriate, but it's okay to be assertive.
Ali, can we ask you to stick around after the break?
I would love to. Yes.
There we go, it's working. Stay with us. We've got more coming up here right after this on the House of Wellness.
Later, why selfish is not a bad word in your relationship.
And next, healthy chef Zoe Bingley-Pullin is cooking up a sweet treat that'll have your taste buds screaming out for more. We're mixing and baking in the kitchen right after this break, here on the House of Wellness. What about that combo, nutritious to delicious, the chockberry souffle sweet omelette?
Yes, and not only is it delicious, but that acai and berry powder is a good source of vitamin C, something we need more of during these winter months. That's what you're about to say, weren't you, GQ?
Zoe, our little segment together, I'm learning every week.
I know, and you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's like you two are pushing for your own segment. It won't happen, but what we'll do is move on now to your calls. Ali has stuck with us. Gerald's joining us now, and we're going straight to Judy, who's on the phone in Balgowlah in New South Wales. How can we help you out?
I'd like to know, how do I get vitamin D in my diet?
Yeah, good question in the depths of
I
winter.
want to know that too.
The simple answer is that you look at fish liver oils, cod liver oil. Now, years ago, our kids grew up having small doses of cod liver oil, and it's still available, and that's the simplest way to do it.
What does vitamin D help us with?
Immune function, so many enzyme reactions, hormone production, endless number of benefits.
Excellent.
Alrighty, let's grab this email. It's from Sharon in Armidale, WA, who's written in, how can I stop my sleep problems from worsening? I wake after 3 hours and then start thinking about the next day and can't get back to sleep. Maybe start with you, Ali, on this one.
Yeah, I think oftentimes with sleep problems, it starts before we go to bed. So I'd be asking Sharon how she's going off to sleep. So is she going off to sleep naturally? I think a lot of people might use alcohol or the television or a device before they go off to sleep. And if we're not going off to sleep and finding that natural sleep rhythm, it can be difficult to go to sleep and then stay asleep. The second point I'd make is about exercise through the day. So sometimes our bodies actually just need to move. And like I've got my 10,000 steps a day tracker. It's a really good way to track your body movement. I think it's really important, particularly in winter, to get outside and make sure your body is really tired and can stay asleep for that time. But otherwise, there's probably so many supplements you can take.
Well, it is, but the lifestyle changes and sleep hygiene, as you said, Ali, really important. But B group during the day just helps that stress coping mechanism.
Okay, some great options for you there, Sharon. Good luck with that. Let's go to Farah, who's on the line in Mill Park, Victoria. What's your query?
I'm just concerned about my little granddaughter. She's 4 years old. She seems to have this runny nose for the last 3 weeks. What can I give her to have a dry nose again?
That describes every kid in Australia right now.
But also me, and I'm not sick, but I seem to have this constant runny nose.
But that's normal. That's because your nose is trying to clear away allergenic material that you're collecting across the day. So we're sometimes paranoid about trying to dry noses up. That's just keeping the muck inside. Let it happen. Just flush it out with some saline without any preservative, and really it will correct itself. So flushing it will fix it.
Yeah, your kids are in that age bracket. I mean, we discussed on the show a few weeks back, kids get 8 to 12 colds a year. There's constant runny noses, aren't there?
And that's developing their immune system.
Yeah, it's a little bit good, but just take your time. Good luck with that. Mary's written in from Strathpine in Queensland via email. I have very sensitive skin in winter. My hands become dry, red and itchy, and it continues to worsen as the weather gets colder. Can you help? Is this a bit of a less humidity situation too?
Oh, and I think it's overused too. We've got, as you would find, your hands are in detergents and all sorts of things, or just bench clean the nappies. Yeah. Sure. But whoever does that, so our hands are very hard working, and you've got to nurture them, moisturise them.
Is that the only thing we can do? Because I'm so dry at the moment with this weather.
Well, because there's no humidity, so moisturising you've just got to continue to do. Wear gloves, cotton gloves first, inside rubber gloves makes a difference. And if the skin's broken, there's a urea 10% cream. Brilliant stuff for getting rid of the dry skin.
All right, great calls, great advice. Thanks, Ali, so much for that. You can find out more about your family's health. Just tap in to our website, watch the show back and reach us this way via houseofwellness.com.au.
Or if you want to chat to GQ, 1800 469 788.
And always nearby on your smartphone device is Facebook. Lots of great info there. You can have a look for The House of Wellness and friend us.
Yes, we're going to be back here on The House of Wellness soon.
Later, we find out about adrenal fatigue and the symptoms aren't good.
But after the break, we look into hemp seeds, the new superfood.
I guess you could say it's making food medicine again.
We'll be back right after this on The House of Wellness. Welcome back to the show. Now, there's a new superfood on the block, and you may have heard of it, hemp seeds. They were made legal last year for food products. Hemp seeds are making such a big splash in the health arena.
Yes, and having been grown for its fibre for many, many years around the world, hemp farms are now popping up across Australia, catering for its new role as a food source. So, why is it grabbing our attention, and how can it be good for our health?
Indeed. To find out what all this fuss is about, we sent Zoe Bingley-Pullin in search of this new superfood and its superpowers.
As a nutritionist, a chef and a lover of good food, I'm often banging on about superfoods. Well, guess what? There's a new superfood in town, hemp seeds. And the interesting thing is, they've been around for a long, long time. Humans have relied on the humble hemp plant for thousands of years. But it was the Brits who realised its true potential. Hemp fibre made for the best sails and ropes and all manner of shipping needs that allow Britannia to rule the waves. The byproduct, hemp seeds, were ground into a porridge made famous by Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist, who, realising its superfood qualities, politely asked for more. So where does it stack up against the rest of the superfoods?
Not every superfood contains proteins, good fats, a good source of minerals and a good source of fibre all in one. And that's the important thing about hemp. You're getting all these wonderful ingredients and nutrients in just the one package.
Victor Tubeler is a qualified naturopath, medical herbalist and homeopath. He works as an educator with Thompson's hemp seeds.
I guess you could say it's making food medicine again. That's what we like.
Wow, look at where I'm at. I'm at a hemp farm in Tasmania. This crop is amazing. It's environmentally friendly. It's good for your health, and there are so many different uses. These days, hemp fibre is being used in numerous industries, including textiles and construction. But here in Tasmania, the combination of rich soils and cool climates allow for the production of a premium seed crop.
It takes very little pesticides and things like that, and it's quite a unique plant.
Tim Schmidt represents Tasmania's hemp farmers. I mean, to compare it, say, to your potato farm over here, how much water, how much spraying, does it need any of those types of things at all?
This year, this crop has only had 2 sprays, which is minimal for an intensive crop. The spuds, they've probably had a dozen sprays. Some of the crops we grow are very destructive on the soil, and it's great to have hemp in the rotation so that it can help restore the soil and the soil structure.
When you consider its numerous attributes and the fact that this particular strain of hemp contains no psychoactive properties, it's difficult to understand why our politicians waited so long before allowing us to buy this wonderful superfood. But as of November 2017, Tasmanian hemp seed is now legal and available. There is this amazing smell in the air. It's lemony, it's sweet, it's quite unique. And it's coming from these little babies here. These seeds here are days away from being harvested. And this is what it's going to look like for you and me. So, we know it's good for the environment, the economy, and our wellness. But what does it taste like? I've whipped up 3 hemp recipes, all available on our website, houseofwellness.com.au, and brought them to Sydney's food-savvy inner west. I'm not going to tell you what's in there yet. I want you to try and I want you to tell me what you think, whether it's tasty. I like that response. The protein ball is simply a super healthy mix of nuts, figs, honey, and hemp powder combined into a paste, wrapped around a berry and rolled in hemp seeds.
Sesame, of course.
Well, actually, it's not sesame seeds, it's hemp.
Surprise, lovely.
Oh, that's a surprise in there.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it.
My hemp smoothie is almond milk, hemp oil, hemp powder and seeds, blended with baby spinach, frozen pineapple and banana with a touch of coconut oil. Tell me what you think. Dangerous.
Good.
Yeah? It's actually made with hemp seeds.
Oh, really?
Tastes really
good. Yum.
There's no THC.
No THC, none of the psychoactive stuff. And finally, my high-protein pancake is a batter of banana, egg, hemp seeds and hemp powder, along with a pinch of cinnamon and turmeric.
Can I interest you in a little pancake? But it may surprise you, it's made with hemp.
That's beautiful.
So it's actually got hemp seeds in it.
Very light.
Thank you. Oh, merci beaucoup.
And according to our naturopath Victor, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds is the perfect addition to our daily diet.
You're going to get about 4% of omega-3s and about 15% of omega-6s. That's the ratio of omega-3s and 6s that the body can absorb and utilise.
Super story, and Zoe's with us. I can tell you're so enthusiastic about what is really one of the most superfoods going around.
It's brilliant. Look, as Victor said, it's a great source of omega-3, 6 and 9, but it's also low in carbohydrates. It's a complete protein, so very easy to boost up the protein that we need in our diet. And it's who it's good for. So it's good for vegans, vegetarians, and don't forget also the people who have nut allergies. This is a wonderful alternative.
Is there a preferred cooking method?
So it's really interesting. So there's seeds, there's protein powder or hemp powder, and then there's oil. So there's different ways that you can use them. I find the powder or the hemp powder is a wonderful substitute for flour. So you can compensate about 25%. The seeds are so diverse. I mean, I've cooked chicken and crumbed it in chicken and things like that. So very easy to cook. Oil, again, best to not cook with the oil, so better to actually fold it in. You can fold it into hot food. So I've folded it into mashed potatoes before just to get a bit of lovely sort of oiliness to the texture. But I think it's best not to actually fry it at all.
I can't find anything negative about it. You've had me putting this in my smoothies. You get the protein hit. As a crop, it's really quick to grow, uses far less water than other crops, and it's delicious.
Yeah, look, I think we need to be mindful with the superfoods that we are choosing because a lot of them aren't ethical and they're not actually very good for the environment. So choosing something that nutritionally ticks the boxes, tastes good, but again has positive environmental impact.
You've tested this thoroughly. You're an ambassador for the Thompson's hemp seeds,
I am indeed. Look, it was a really lovely fit for me to work with Thompson's. It's a product I love, but I literally put my hand up when I found out that... I was like, me.
I want to be the hemp girl. Yes.
Well, I wanted to actually spruik a message of getting more good food into people's diet.
Yeah.
Superfood indeed, super story. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you.
Now, I wonder, are you sick and tired of just feeling sick and tired? Does your body ache for no reason? Or maybe you're not sleeping as well as you used to?
Yeah, if that sounds like you, your lifestyle may be the cause of these symptoms. Perhaps it's stress building up at work or from home. Maybe your diet is inadequate, or it could be adrenal fatigue.
Yeah, here to explain and help us understand adrenal fatigue is naturopath and natural health and lifestyle guru David Jivan. Welcome to you, Doc.
Hello, guys.
Okay, explain adrenal fatigue. What's that first?
So before we start, I want to clarify that we're not talking about Addison's disease or Cushing's disease. These are medical conditions that affect the cortisol levels. So adrenal fatigue is considered to be a mild form of adrenal insufficiency caused by chronic stress. But it's also a term used to explain some non-specific symptoms, such as things like body aches, fatigue, nervousness, sleeping issues, and digestive issues.
Okay, because I've heard this being thrown around quite a lot. How do we know if we've got adrenal fatigue? Do we need to be diagnosed?
Okay, well, first of all, when you get startled, your brain then triggers off your adrenal glands to produce cortisol and adrenaline. Right? Now, it's the cortisol that we're concerned about because you know that it affects things like, it's been related to things like high cholesterol, blood pressure, digestive and immune issues, and so on. So I think the thing that we've got to keep in mind is that, first of all, in medicine, you have these two states. You have clinical disease and subclinical disease.
Yes.
And in clinical disease, you have recognizable clinical findings, but in subclinical, you don't. So what happens in adrenal fatigue is that there are a lot of people out there that are walking around with symptoms and tiredness and fatigue, and you can't explain it.
Yeah.
And they don't fit into that medical model of medical diagnosis. But it doesn't mean to say it doesn't exist.
Right.
Okay, so what happens is we say that the body is sensitive enough to actually recognize the variations, but blood tests are not.
Yeah, right. Has adrenal fatigue kind of crept up on us? We go back to caveman times. We slept when it was dark in our little cold caves. Now we can be going 24/7, so our body's kind of always on call.
It is, and this is why we say chronic stress is the major contributing factor. So if you look at things like our lifestyle, where we, working long hours, we don't have time for a break, we don't get enough time for exercise, we're not hydrating ourselves well enough, excess caffeine, excess sugar in our diet. These are all contributing issues. So yes, our whole lifestyle's changed considerably, and I don't think we're actually making enough breaks and having enough sort of detachments from those,
devices and things?
Absolutely, and working long hours and sitting on computers and so on.
So what would you say that we can do, because we're always on? Time to switch off?
Well, first of all, you've got to start getting away from all the stimulants, so caffeine, excess alcohol, the refined sugars, getting some rest, hydration, getting the exercise in. You want to look at things like going and visiting a holistic practitioner that will look at and be more sort of empathetic to your situation with adrenal fatigue. Thank you. Yes. And so also what you look at is things like B vitamins, and specifically vitamin B5, which is very good for the adrenal glands. There's an Indian herb called withania or ashwagandha, which is what we call an adaptogen, and that works as a tonic for the adrenal glands. Cool. And then looking at things like vitamin C, and of course rest. And my final one, which I think is most important, this is a crowd pleaser. It's having a break. Expedia apparently said in the last 4 months, their greatest number of searches was for actually people having overnight breaks rather than looking for the luxurious 3 to 4 weeks away. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, I think it was up by 40% in the last 12 months or so. So I think just the idea that we just get away from it for about a day or two.
Anything.
Absolutely.
I love a naturopath that prescribes holidays. Great tips. Avoid all those stimulants, like you mentioned, the alcohol, the caffeine, refined sugars and so on. Recharge and regroup through exercise. Bit of yoga probably wouldn't hurt. Get a little mini break in if you can. Plan that now. Put that in your diary. And laughter and happiness probably helps your adrenals out too.
Well, they say laughter is the key to happiness, and happiness is the key to happy adrenal glands.
So that
absolutely, and putting up with Ed's jokes as well. I mean, while we're at it,
catchy little sayings, one and all. Thank you, David.
Anytime at all, my friend. Anytime.
Hey, don't forget, every Sunday morning you can catch us. You get a double dose of the House of Wellness via our radio show.
And we are across the country, so make sure you tune that dial. Loads of great information for everyone.
Does your radio have a little tuning dial?
Don't worry about my radio.
Oh, are you? We'll be back shortly, right here, after this quick break on the House of Wellness. And yes, this house is right across Australia on the 7 Network and Prime Network, the show giving you a healthier and happier life. Still more to come. We're looking into the health of the nervous system today with the A to Z of vitamins.
But up next, we find out how nurturing can be bad for your relationship.
Really? What? Still more to come on this house, the House of Wellness. Welcome back to the show. Now, we all know real-life relationships aren't a romance novel. They can be fun, but also hard work, and you both need to put in time and effort to maintain a happy union.
It is true, but what happens if you're giving more than your partner, and what effect does it have on your relationship?
Well, joining us today to help us find the balance and be just like those romance novel couples is relationship and intimacy expert Dr Nikki Goldstein. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
How are we going to work in this word selfish into a relationship if we don't want to start an argument quickly?
Well, what normally happens is that one person becomes the over-nurturer. Now, often this can be the woman because we think that being an over-nurturer is a nice feminine trait, but eventually you start to give and give and give so much that you're depleted and you're feeling really, flat yourself, and there isn't much to give to someone else. So we need to actually have a look at how you don't become too much of an over-nurturer and how you still keep that little bit of independence and selfishness to be able to be in a healthy relationship.
Okay. Because that could build resentment, couldn't it? And what do we do if we start to feel resentful?
Well, I think you need to own your emotions. Instead of being so angry and be like, you didn't do this for me and I'm doing all of this for you, you actually need to step back a little bit and have a look at what is the dynamics like? Have you given so much that there isn't anything left for yourself? Are you throwing those daggers unnecessarily when maybe there's something else you should be working on, like this healthy balance?
Yeah, we don't need to do absolutely everything together, do we? But how do we turn the focus back onto ourselves just a little?
Well, you need to remember the things that re-energise you. What are those things that you used to do before in a relationship that you might not be doing now? Did you catch up with people for coffee? Did you do a yoga class? You may not have the luxury of time, but it's really important to remember what it is that you want to do so you can incorporate that into the balance of a relationship so you don't feel like you're compromising and giving up everything for the sake of someone else.
Yeah. So you hit on something there, the balance of a relationship. How do we find the balance?
Well, I think it's really important that you have a look at, having that conversation. Because when we have a look at this word compromise, maybe your partner isn't compromising enough. Maybe you have got to that point where you're giving so much and you feel like they could be coming up into the mix as well. So whilst it is important to step back and have a look at, are you over-nurturing, we do also need to be honest and have a look at, is there something going on in the relationship where you do need to say to your partner, hey, I need you to give just a little bit back to me like I'm doing to you, or I need you to do X, Y, and Z. It's always good when you give them something specific to focus on.
What about your kids that are will also drain the life out of you. Can you have this conversation with them too?
No, not until they're about 15.
Okay, some great tips. Let's cover them again. Make sure you maintain some independence in a relationship. Don't do that codependent love dance thing.
Yes, you need to be able to do the things that you used to do before you met your partner, because remember, that still makes you attractive as well. That's why they were into you.
Yeah, and I think you said kind of even keep a list too, so people...
Yes, remind yourself.
Yeah.
You know, was it yoga? Was it Pilates? Was it the odd occasional cocktail night?
Yeah. And maintain those friendships outside of the relationship. You're so good at this little social thing. But those friends of yours might give you something that your partner can't, so that's a really great tip too.
I think it's unfair that we expect our partner to give us everything.
Yeah. Great stuff. Thanks, Nick. Lovely
Thank
to
you,
see
lovely.
you again. Stay with us. We've got plenty more still to come after the break on the House of Wellness. Welcome back to the show. Time for another selection now in our A to Z of vitamins. Gerald's back with us as well. I know we lead really busy lives, and you mentioned at the top of the show you might have a way to help us assist our nervous system and even cardiovascular health.
We're talking here, Ed, about essential fatty acids, which are the main components within fish oil. It's a little bit confusing because we talk about 1,000 milligram fish oil capsules, but it's the content of the 2 essential fatty acids that are the most important aspect.
Okay.
So you look at the label, add them together, and depending on how many of those you need to get to 1,000 milligram, that's the dose. So the higher the EPA, DHA content, the better.
Gotcha. I mean, we'd love a big fillet of salmon every night, couldn't we? But how could fish oils like this help with our brain function and cardiovascular health as well?
We're helping nerve function, Ed, as well. So if we're talking brain function, we're talking nerve function and nerve impulses. Heart, we're talking here about protection of the arteries around and within the heart. It's got multiple uses.
Throw in joint health
of course.
as well.
Interesting.
Good one. All righty. The A to Z of vitamins brought to us by Go Healthy this week for healthy energy and vitality. Try New Zealand's #1 premium supplements, now available in Australia. All right, guys, we've got to run. We're just about done. Next week, you can find out how to boost your energy levels in one night.
Wow.
You might need that extra energy for ways to tame your toddler's tantrums. We'll cover that as well on the show. If you'd like some more info, including some great tips for your family's health, head to our website. It is houseofwellness.com.au. You guys, I love hanging with you both.
Another week down.
Let's do it again next week, hey? Thanks to Zoe, to GQ and the team and our friends at Chemist Warehouse. We wish you a healthy and well week. See you
See you soon.